All right, so we're back, and it's COMP1050 Animation 2D Tools, Week 7, Part 4, and we're talking about Air Raid 2. So we just last movie, we talked about how we can use cosine and sine, the sine functions built into ActionScript, as well as arctangent to determine two things: X and Y coordinates of a particular ship moving in a particular angle, right, or an object moving in a particular angle, and also the angle of an object at a certain distance from an originating object. So let's say I have my ship, and then I have an enemy. I can find the angle of attack, if you will. So let's incorporate some of that stuff with Air Raid 2. Okay, let's do that. So we're going to alter the gun. First thing we're going to do is we're going to alter the gun, because now the gun isn't going to look the way it did before. Right? The gun has to kind of rotate. This is what Air Raid 2 is going to do. So let's take a look at it. I'll go back to Flash, and we'll open up in the code archive. We'll see Part 4, which is Air Raid 2. Air Raid 2 has a couple of other classes. So here's my Air Raid 2, and if I run it and start the game, right? I have my ships, but instead of moving my my gun left and right, now just my angle moves, right? So now it's going to be firing at a different angle. Still have only 20 shots, right? The rest of the the objects move at the same pace, but I think I'm a little bit more accurate now. I can probably hit almost all of them, right? That move into my field of view. Oops, didn't quite make that one, or that one. But that one is cool. Oh, got that one, barely. Oh, missed that one. I'm gonna lose all my weapons here. But let's see if I'm gonna get a higher score, that's for sure. And this obviously makes more sense because I'm firing things, at an angle, and I can adjust for my angle of attack. Right, so I get a higher score. If you notice, my score is 12 now. My score was like only 3 before, because it's much easier. An alternative to this, when I have Air Raid 2, is not only should I be able to move my gun, maybe my left and right arrows should actually still move me left and right, but from an angle perspective, maybe I can use my Z and C keys or something else on my keyboard to angle me a little bit more differently. So maybe there'll be other keys. Too bad we don't have a joystick or some kind of gamepad. Yeah, because we can actually program a gamepad to kind of have left and right controls of let's say, an Xbox or PS4 gamepad. Left and right would actually rotate left and right, and then right and left on the right side of our game console, the other D-pad thing, would actually move us right and left, right? So I think there's some really cool things you can do combining both Air Raid 1 and Air Raid 2. Okay. Let's take a look at let's take a look at our code a little bit. So really here, I mean, some of the code is the same. We haven't done much different, but our AA gun, our anti-aircraft gun, is a little different, isn't it? Right? For example, now when we do our key down and key up function. Here's our key up and key one. So we have a left arrow and right arrow, and firing the bullet the same. But now what happens is when those things move, right, inside of our other class, let me just get to that for a second. Here's our Air Raid 2. Inside of our AA gun, that's really changed. That's the main thing that's changed. The airplanes stay the same, the bullets have stayed the same, but our AA gun, that's really changed up, right? So our gun stays fixed at 275 and 340, but our rotation right now is set to minus 90. Why is it minus again? Because we're negative of the horizontal. Our horizontal line goes from east, which is to the right, 0, to west, which is to the left, 180 degrees. And we don't go above the equator to go to 180. We go underneath. We go to the right. We go normally when we have a rotation, a positive rotation, we go to the right, clockwise from 0 down, right? So it's a little bit different than what we did before. Actually, it's easier. It makes more sense that we would go down if we were going to the right, and clockwise and counterclockwise, rotation-wise, right? So here we're rotating counterclockwise to straight up. So we're looking straight up. That's our first angle, our initial angle for our gun, right? Because originally our gun starts at a 0 angle to the right, right? And then we rotate up. Okay, we're going to move our gun, and we're going to say, well, new rotation is equal to whatever the rotation is, right? And what we're going to say is this: if the left arrow is pressed, then our new rotation is negative equal to the speed times the time passed. So we can actually change the angle of rotation. So we're going to find out where the rotation is based on our left arrow, right arrows. Right? That's what's going to happen. Whatever the speed of rotation is, it's going to rotate us left or right. No problem. Okay? If the rotation, right, is less than 170 degrees, well, guess what? Our rotation is 170. So it's not letting us rotate to 180 degrees because it doesn't make any sense that our gun would fire straight at the ground, right? It's got to at least fire at 10 degrees left or right, above the equator kind of thing. All right, and then determining what this equation, the rotation is, this is our rotation, right? The delete gun method is the same. So we've got our rotation, our angle of rotation for our gun. So that's one thing that's changed. The other thing that's really changed is our bullets, because when we fire our bullets take a path, right? And our bullets take a path depending on the angle that our of rotation, right? So here's our rotation this time. This is the extra parameter that we're taking into the bullets, right? And our rotation is a number, right? So our initial move is 35. That's our speed of our bullet, right? And we're saying take our initial move, right? Multiply by a cosine for our x coordinate, right? Multiply by 2 times pi times the rotation divided by 360. Exactly what we did before, all right? And then this is the new rotation. The rotation is the new rotation that we're getting in here for this particular object. Once we have this rotation, now we know that the dx and dy values, our new x and y, our y values are coming from our speed, right, times our math, tangent, and cosine and sine. We're getting based on the rotation of the angle. So this is what our dx and dy values are, right? And then we're going to move the bullet. So kind of the exact same way. The only difference is our dx and dy values are going to be calculated based on the angle of rotation. Okay, so kind of a neat little thing. You know what, though? We really could have. This is what we could have done. We could have taken that function that existed in that other in our car, move car, and plopped it into here, and it would have been just the same. Pretty much. We'd have to modify a couple things. Okay, so really that's what it is. Those two functions are the main ones that have changed. Air rate 2, though, I mean, other than the bullet itself, when we create our bullet, the only thing we're passing into when we fire the gun, right, so when we actually press the space bar, right, which is, this is left and right, and our space bar is 32, we fire the bullet. Here's where we fire our bullet, right? So fire bullet, if you notice, this is where we create new bullets, and the bullets have that extra rotation parameter that we didn't have before. So this is kind of the only change we have in this particular thing. Otherwise, the game is exactly the same. And if you want to read it, there's all the details here in my PowerPoint. That's from a support perspective. Oh yeah, one thing we need to do also is change the angle of the bullets, because the bullets, just like the gun, should point east. And then we should rotate them to where they need to be. Depending on where the gun is rotated to, the bullets would also rotate to that direction. Otherwise, it'll look weird, right? Because if you only point the bullets up, then the bullets will always point up when they fire, like this, right? And that doesn't make any sense. The bullet should be pointed in the same direction as the gun is pointing at. So that's two things. That's why there's both rotations. One, we rotate the bullet. The second one is we fire the bullet, and it tracks according to the rotation. Okay. So that's really air raid 2 in a nutshell. Okay, so we've learned a bunch from those two things, and now taking all that stuff together, we're going to talk about in the next movie. We're going to talk about our space game, right? Which is it kind of incorporates everything together.